your reputation of never fighting a rematch outside of Castillo, and your second fight was the washout with Castillo, which you won. Why Maidana 7 rounds?
Box. I mean, they just want to get the fans what they want to see. The fans ask, well, let's do it again. Why not?
Floyd, did you want the rematch as bad as Maidana wanted this week?
I mean, I didn't lose, so like I said before, you know, this boxing, you know, some guys you may fight once, some guys you may fight twice. I mean, the fight is here. I mean, the fight is, you know, coming. And my job is to just be Floyd Mayweather and go out there and present it. Go out there and do what I do. Instead again, somebody.
Why do you think you lost?
Everybody's entitled to feel how they want to feel. That's safe to say.
What do you think about Marcos the first time around?
Well, he has to, I mean, it's obvious there's some things that he has to do. You know, I didn't come up on the short end of the stick, he did.
What was he able to do that was effective in this first week?
Fight dirty. Fight dirty, probably win 3 rounds out of 12.
How much did the baseball have? Were you surprised? It looked like you won in the fight. Were you surprised at the public perception was different?
I mean, you have to, like I said before, what you guys have to realize, like I said before, I'm not just fighting the fighting. Fighting the critics, you know, I mean, if a guy win 2 rounds, they're like, oh man, this guy beat Mayweather. I mean, things happen. Things happen. It's a sport of boxing. I mean, you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, just like in life. But you gotta still go out there and do what you do. I always keep my composure. I always take my time. I mean, I feel like, a lot of things is going on in the fight that if I was the referee, I wouldn't let happen. But I wasn't the referee. My job is just to fight.
Were you surprised how aggressive he came at you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Maidana, like I said, he's a tough competitor, but I mean, it's gonna be the same thing just going on. I'm really not worried about nothing. I don't worry about no fighter. They're all the same to me. They're just fighters.
Is being undefeated ever like a golden handcuff where maybe my team had different chances?
I don't even think about the record. I don't really think about my record.
It's important to this industry, though. I mean, part of that fuels the pay-per-view business.
Well, you know, I'm a little different. I'm from the ground up. You know, whereas you got fighters like Oscar De La Hoya, you know, Bob Arum had a lot to do with it. Whereas me, I'm from the ground up. I earned mine the hard way.
No, I understand that, but you're saying in terms of, you're 40 years old, I mean, you're a great 40-year-old, but do you worry about, you know, maybe chances that you might take if there was 1 or 2 losses that you might do, I suppose being conservative, but that's just human nature.
Well, losing is never, we don't even talk about that. When we talk about taking the L, we talk about our opponents, you know, taking the L. That's not even our focus. Our focus is to be the best that we can be, give the fans excitement, and to go out there and entertain. And we always believe in self-preservation. You know, I believe, you know, I truly believe in I come first.
But you've won so many fights so easily. Do you think that there's almost a perception that at this stage of your career that you've been too good for your own good? That, you know, that you're always going to win by a shutout or close to shutout?
I'll let Leonard answer that. We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the perception out there is, you know, Floyd's been the best. He just didn't become the best. He's been the best. So any kind of success any fighter has against him, you know, people tend to gravitate towards that. You know, it was a great fight for the fans, and the fans is the one that wanted this fight. And Maidana has vowed this time that he's going to go out there and do it for all the Hispanic fans. You know, he's putting all the Hispanic fans on his back, and he's representing them, and so.
Yeah, but the last time I checked, like I always say.
Yep. So, you know, the fans can't fight for him, but he's vowed to, you know, go out there and put them on his back.
And I honestly believe if that's what is going to motivate him, then, you know, I'm behind it 100%. Because that's what it's all about, you know, giving the fans what they want to see, entertainment.
by
You've
reputation.
you've had some wacky decisions from some judges. I mean, is there a concern that at some point the judges are gonna, screw you over on one of these deals? If the guy wins like three rounds, that there could be a judge that sees something crazy, or two judges that see something crazy. And
I don't know. I think a lot of these. I think we need to get some young judges. Honestly speaking, I think it's just about being fair. And as a fighter, Maidana know he didn't win as a fighter. I've been in this sport forever, and like when you go to the boxing gym, when that day when you go to the boxing gym, you're like, today I really didn't perform like I normally perform. And so as a fighter, he know. Even like with the Castillo first fight, if I feel like I lost, I'll say yeah, I lost because I'm fair. But I know I beat him. I know it for a fact. But like I said before, from the beginning of my career, I haven't just been fighting my opponent. I've been fighting everybody else also. The media, the critics, the fans, the biased fans. I mean, it comes with the territory. Like I said, I mean, if I fight a fighter that's, it's so many excuses that they use. Like I was just telling them out there, when I fought Marquez, he was over the hill, he was washed up, but then he come back and knocked Pacquiao out. Then he like, okay, Marquez is, he's pound for pound one of the best. But then when I beat him, he had him rated as number 2, but then he was over the hill. We can go on and on and on about different opponents. No different from who else I said was the other opponent I was talking about when we were just in there? Cotto. Remember they said Cotto, I caught him at a bad time, but now he's middleweight champion. And now they talking about, it's bad.
Can you recall in the Olympics, you didn't really lose that fight in the Olympics. Can you recall the last fight that you lost? Because that fight in the Olympics, you didn't really
of course, when I was the amateur, I lost 6 fights, but I lost 6 fights all by 1 point on a computer scoring system. And we already know how that system is. So, in amateur, I think I avenged, out of the 6 I probably avenged, is it safe to say, probably 3. 3 of the losses or 2 of the losses. Okay. Probably so.
One thing that you can do, and even going into this fight, is you can dictate where the fight's going to go. Whether you want to stand in the middle of the ring, whether you want to go against the ropes, whatever. Is that something, because Maidana's saying that, hey, he saw some things that he's going to do differently, be an outcome and fit for him, but do you think it's a matter of...
He have to do something different. He have to do a deep gash from a punch. I got a deep gash from a headbutt. Low blows all night. Y'all can go look at the fight over and over again. 20 low blows. Yeah, we can go on and on. My job is to go out there and just be me and do what I do. Y'all done seen this 1,000 times over and over again. This guy gonna beat Mayweather. No, he's the one. He's a young, hungry lion. Or he's a veteran. He got 70 fights. He got 60 fights. But this guy's undefeated. He got power. I say the same thing over and over again. He's not gonna win. No matter who his trainer is. You got the best trainer. They're talking about how Freddie Roach is a good trainer. When he had De La Hoya, they lost. They ain't talking about that then. You can go get the best trainer. You can go get all the best fighters they talking about that can beat me. After each fight, it's going to be the same result, same results. They're going to have excuses, and I'm going to say just line them up like bowling pins so I can continue to knock them down.
Hey, nobody can sell a fight the way you can, Floyd. Are there any other boxers whose mic skills you admire? I think Adrian Broner's pretty good. Is there anybody else?
I'm being honest, I don't really even watch boxing like that.
Really?
No, I don't really even watch boxing. Actually, what happened, I was in Panama the other day. And so I said, I want to go visit my grandmother because I know she's getting a lot older, and that's the lady that raised me. So I got on a jet and said, you know, let's go straight to Grand Rapids, so I could see my grandmother. I could take my family to dinner. I took my family to took them to a real nice restaurant. We had a big dinner. Then I took them all to go see the Planet of the Apes.
That was good.
Yeah, I went to sleep. But everybody enjoyed it.
It was a good movie.
You know, doing stuff like that made me, you know, that's a good feeling. Very, very happy. But when we was in the theater, she was like, "No, you know, no damn apes can't do that." Granny, it's just a movie, sweetheart. So it was cool, you know. And then,
For starters, if you really pay close attention, Floyd pretty much walks around at his weight, you know, at his fighting weight. With the exception of the Marquez fight, I can't think of one fighter that Floyd has been in there with, you know, definitely in the last 7, 8 years, in all these pay-per-view fights, that hadn't outweighed Floyd 18 to, in some cases, 23, 24 pounds on fight night. So not only is he fighting at welterweight, he's really, on fight night, he's fighting a super middleweight. So any way you look at it, he goes out there, puts on a great performance, but he's always fighting guys that are much bigger than he is. So it absolutely makes no sense. You know, what do you want him to do? Get in there and fight a heavyweight? You know, I think that would be the only thing to satisfy a lot of the fans, but at the end of the day, it's about going out there and putting on great fights for the fans.
You've made Las Vegas your home in terms of fighting and everything. I mean, you pretty much own that city. And there, obviously, you know, people in New York want to see you fight here. Is that something that is in your plans? Is there something you want to do?
I mean, we don't. I mean, like I said, I don't know what the future holds. You know. I mean,
is it important for you to fight here at some point?
I got a license here. I got a license in a few places. So, like I always said, we don't really know what the future holds. But of course, I'm fighting in one of the best places in the world, which is the MGM. You know, they've been good to me. I've been loyal to them, and we have a relationship that goes back 18 years. And actually, my first time ever fighting at the MGM Grand was probably 1994 as an amateur.
Floyd, you said that you'll be done at the end of the CBS Showtime contract. At which point, if you're still undefeated, would be 49-0. Would there be any feel that, you know, that you would want to take a 50th fight? You know, Marciano's 49-0 record would be out there.
I never try to focus on Marciano. You know, you hear about what's his record. I'm honest, I never really even seen Marciano fight. You know, I've seen some highlights. But this is the Mayweather era. The only thing I can try to do is focus on myself and focus on the guy that's in front of me. You know, Marciano had his time. Right now it's my time.
50 is a nice round number, though.
I don't really look at the number. If my career is over today, I'm happy with what I've accomplished in the sport of boxing. My job is not to go out there and try to break records. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. I know there's a lot of fighters that's out there that's trying to break records that I've accomplished. And then, you know, I sit back sometimes and you know, I'm pretty sure, you know, a lot of people talk about Julio Cesar Chavez, about how he was 89-0 and how he was 90-0. But, you know, I fought probably beat just as many champions as he has beat in half the fights. But